Stevens-Daly is back on one wing outside. Melly Hufanga, Paige McGregor and Madison Bartlett. Abigail Roach alongside the Golden Boot winner Racine McGregor in the halves. Brianna Clark and Annette Claudia Nuasala packed down either side of Crystal Rota. Roxy Murdoch-Masilla, Amber Hall and Georgia Hale complete Ricky Henry's pack, and on the bench Nita Maynard, Maya Hill Moana, who just led that hacker that we saw. Tess Pooley and then Crystal Stowers make up the 17. Amanda, for you then, very much all about the start. Does it suit therefore New Zealand to have the first possession of the ball in this game?
For me personally, I think it's always quite good to defend. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think they would have preferred really to have defended, so they could have pinned maybe the Gillaroos in their own half. But at the end of the day, it's just what you do with it now. They've got the ball and just take it to them. Brigginshaw
gets us underway, and Hufanga collects the kickoff, and the Ferns will start on their own 20 at the moment. In at dummy half is Hall, and Hall will pass the ball infield, and immediately, what have we got there? Three Australian defenders in and around and dragging Nuasala down. Ball is played, and Rota will pass the ball towards centre field through the hands of Hale, and again many Gillaroos there scragging the ball carrier Clark to the ground. The referee, by the way, who you're hearing on the microphones, Belinda Sharp, is in charge of this World Cup final. Wyatt Raymond and Darian Ferner, the touch judges. The video referee, if required, and I would guess they will be, is Adam G. Carry forward now from Georgia Hale, up to and into the Gillaroos half, and on the last, the Ferns will be kicking, and the first last tackle option in this Rugby League World Cup final is a high bomb which is collected pretty comfortably there by the Australian back line, and it's brought back to and out of the 20.
Yeah, it's a steady start from New Zealand. To be fair, I thought we'll talk about the physicality, but fair play to Australia, 2 and 3 in every tackle. Really restricted New Zealand's metres to about 20 in total. Short kick-off, so it did enable them to get some field position, but it's the Aussies with the ball now, and like I said, really physical start from Australia as they just have a crack down New Zealand's short side on the right edge there.
Yeah, it's the backs who've been involved so far. Madison Bartlett takes the ball into the Ferns half. Now it's carried forward by Australia up to around about 30 metres from the 40 metres, make that, from the Ferns line. Busying herself at dummy half is Davis, and Davis is in again, looking to set up a kicking option here on the last tackle. Very slow. Well, six again, not being allowed to get up to play the ball. Shannon Marteau there, and the Gillaroos are inside the 20, and plenty of tackles to go. Going from right to left, passes there coming into Clydesdale. Clydesdale will be tackled round and about 5 metres out, and Australia in a really good position here. Davis in at dummy half again, and this time it's the New Zealand defenders who are having to get numbers in. And, well, a lot of pressure here on this Kiwi line. Loose ball there. It's collected in the end by Brigginshaw, who keeps it going out towards the right-hand side. New Zealand's scrambling defence on the far side will be tested here by the Gillaroos. Brigginshaw was the option again, and she will play that ball along the 10-metre line, and well, that's good defence there. Taufa was immediately the option on the left, but again the Gillaroos head towards that short side, and it's a kick from Brigginshaw which is defended by the Ferns, and they very much fancy taking it down towards that New Zealand left, don't they?
That was wasn't it a great set from the Gillaroos there. I think, you know, wise decision to finish on the 50 to give them that option either side. And then the repeat set, I think that's one thing that the New Zealanders need to be sure about, is working the floor, but getting up and quickly clearing the ruck, because that's something they've been slow at in the previous games.
They can't afford to give too many penalties away, Paul, can they?
No, absolutely not. I think we've seen right from the start the warning signs are there, aren't they? The Aussies were physical indeed. They were great in attack there, and we got a restart from New Zealand. So if they do that, as Amanda pointed out, penalties, restarts, it's going to kill New Zealand off. And we've got to say, was only a sloppy pass from dummy half, really saved New Zealand there, and then they got about 3 or 4 real good try line efforts, New Zealand. So tough start for New Zealand as Australia now. They gain possession and territory is very much in their favour. They're going to have to defend the line again in about 2 players now, the New Zealanders.
Yeah, only getting towards halfway there, the Kiwi Ferns. So it's an opportunity for the Gillaroos to run that ball forward again. Shannon Marto is the ball carrier to within 25 metres of the goal line. Now down towards that left-hand side again, carried forward by Isabel Kelly. She will be tackled round and about 15 metres from the Ferns line. In at dummy half, sharpish for Australia as Aiken will move that ball towards centre field. And inside the 10, as Paul Rowley predicted, with tackles in the bank. And Davis, again, this time fires the ball towards Brigginshaw, shows it to a teammate, gets the ball away. And I think they're in, they are in. The Gillaroos through Jessica Sergius have scored this first try of the Rugby League World Cup Final 2021. Sergius there, no problem for me, no problem for referee Belinda Sharp. And the Kiwi line is breached. We're still in the opening 5 minutes of this game, and Australia register the first points. 4-0 they lead.
Yeah, poor kick there, wasn't it, from New Zealand to finish their set, allowing the Australians to take what was an easy kick, and then they played with that composure that they've got. For me, they looked comfortable. They got themselves to a good position, got the numbers, had great shape, and then just attacked with ease, and just the timing of the passing, just to draw those defenders in, nice and tight to give them numbers on the edge, and a nice good strong carry there from the 11 to go over for the try.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that previous set. It was just a sloppy pass from dummy half the previous set. This time, Davis there was a really crisp and wide pass from dummy half, and the Kiwis just unable to cover the ground to make the get 2 in the tackle, if you like, because the Aussies are too skillful, too powerful on edges there. And yeah, the writing was on the wall, and they nailed it. The skill was good, and one-on-one they're just too good at the minute, Australia. But I thought Amanda had a prudent point. Again, we'll go back to the national anthems. The Aussies look chilled, don't they? They look really comfortable at the minute. And
in off the uprights, Brigginshaw's kick is off the uprights. 6-0.
That doesn't help when the 2s are going in as well. So ruthless is the word I'm getting from Australia at the minute. And to go back on that, they look really chilled, really comfortable. Look like they're enjoying themselves. New Zealand looks slightly nervous, a little bit rabbit in the headlights, at the minute, and because Australia aren't going to just go route one. They're a talented team, and they're going to really challenge their edges.
Is that stodgy word going to come back to haunt them, maybe? Is that what they're looking like at the moment, the Kiwis?
For me, the Kiwis need to stick to doing what they do and not be taken in by what the Gillaroos are doing at the moment. So when they get the ball, they just have to find their strengths and just attack and get themselves in a good position for the kick.
Well, Australia have got possession of the ball, and Shannon Marto brings it out of the 20, and again it's Davis operating at dummy half. Both Australian teams, the men's and the women's, for a commentator, have not got the right shirt numbers on the back, and when a number 8's running in and operating where the number 9 should be, it's given me nightmares all week leading up to this as that. Clydesdale carries the ball up towards the Australian 40, and the aforementioned Keely Davis is in, claps her hands, coaxes the play the ball, and Australia are away again and ploughing a furrow down centre field here at Old Trafford up towards the halfway line. Davis towards the right, and that's Brigginshaw who will pass the ball along the line. In fact, no, she'll take the tackle, and on the last, Australia will look to put more pressure on the line. It's a big boot there from Taryn Aiken, which is collected by Appy Nichols for the Kiwis. And oh goodness me, big shot from the 2 Aussie kick chasers.
Yeah, absolutely. Amanda pointed out Kiwis need to get back to doing what they do well. They're not doing it too well because the Aussies are getting their nose through. They're winning every collision, both in attack and defence. So the Kiwis really need to step up about 2 or 3 gears here. The Aussies are just rolling them at the minute.
Struggling to get out of their own 20 at the moment. Here's someone who can make meters, Melly Hufanga, taking the ball up towards the 20, but again, numbers in Australian jerseys. And it is the Gillaroos who are very much on top, leading on the scoreboard, 6 points to 0 in this Rugby League World Cup final on BBC Radio 5 Live, as the ball is carried forward now by Murdoch Masilla up towards the 40. This is the last, and off the back foot again, New Zealand will kick forward, and it will be immediately gobbled up there by Sammy Bremner, the Gillaroos fullback, but that's a decent bit of kick pressure there in the end, a chase down from Amber Hall.
Yeah, a little bit lucky there though, the Ferns, in the fact that, you know, again, not the greatest of kicks, are kicking out of their own half, but then just straight down the Gillaroos, so they could just an easy catch, allowing them to gain some ground early on in the set. But, you know, just a little bit of a trip there allowed them to put some pressure on.
Decent hit there on the Australian ball carrier. The ooze from the crowd indicated that, as Davis once again streaks away to the right of the ruck, and the little pop-up pass moves the Gillaroos up towards the Kiwi Ferns 20. Much involvement in these opening stages for Shannon Marto, the front rower, by the way, being very, very heavily involved for the Gillaroos. This will be the last, and it will be Isabel Kelly who goes in and passes the ball to the ever-reliable Brigginshaw, who will kick towards the corner again, and this time the Kiwis are able, through Madison Bartlett, to collect that kick, but that's maybe 5 Gillaroos in there hunting Bartlett down.
Yeah, some worrying signs. The Kiwis are struggling to get behind the ball now, so there's not a lot of shape coming from the New Zealanders, so it's hunting time for Australia. 2 and 3 in, winning collisions, driving back post-contact meters, but I think they showed their hand a little bit. Australia, they're doing a lot of work down their left edge, short and direct, a lot of against the grain plays to tire out this New Zealand pack, and then all the shifts, the kicks are going to the Kiwis left edge, so showed their hand a little bit early, but it's working for them at the minute.
Good strong carry by Nuasala there for New Zealand, and now Hall chimes in from the right edge. Ball comes loose, goes backwards, says referee Belinda Sharp, so it will be the last for the Kiwis. They're kicking from inside their own 30 though, and thought it was going to be out on the full just for a moment there. It does bounce once into the advertising hoardings, and it will be a turnover ball just inside the Gillaroos half, but there's no sign of physical dominance from the Kiwis here. They're being dominated at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, like I said, from kick-off. You know, the Ferns have started with the ball, but not played with much shape. Pretty much one-up stuff and getting turned in the tackle by the dominant defence from the Gillaroos, and they don't seem to be able to get away from that. They're kicking out of their own end and struggling to get some field position.
Taufa takes the ball forward for Australia. Now a carry from Clydesdale, and a little bit of a push and shove there after the ball had been played. Here comes Marto in towards the Ferns 20. Wrestled onto her back just in front of the goalposts, running from right to left in front of us, the Gillaroos here at Old Trafford. Cut out ball there to the left edge, and it's an opportunity for Kelly to try and tease that defence. Then the ball has been lost, and it's a knock-on there, and New Zealand will take that. Bit of credit for Hale's pressure there in the tackle, but a loose carry in the end, I think. Yeah,
it was Georgia Hale's just come in there. He's gone back on the inside to Bremner, who's looked lively for me, and I was just going to say earlier, I can see her making causing some trouble for New Zealand as they start to fatigue, but yeah, not on that occasion. It was a really tough challenge from Hale, who's dislodged the ball, and again, New Zealand, well, points to them for resilience, and yeah, he's still only 6-0, so the scoreline suggests they're still in it, although what we're witnessing is a pretty dominant Australia up to now.
6-0, 12 minutes gone. You're listening to BBC 5 Live from Old Trafford this afternoon. First of 2 World Cup finals. The men's game is on the way. 4 o'clock kickoff for that one. This is the women's final between Australia and New Zealand, and it's New Zealand who are in front, and Australia who are in front, and New Zealand who have the ball, carrying it out of their 30, but every yard is hard-earned at the moment. Bartlett was the ball carrier there. Now it's taken forward by Hall, and goodness me, the number of tackles. Oh, as New Zealand break through, here's an opportunity, here's a chance. Crystal Rota there breaking through the Australian line. That's the first real opportunity. This will be the last tackle though, so what can the Kiwis conjure up? Well, it's an outside pass to the right edge, and an opportunity made. No, forward pass in the end, and just as Autumn Rain Stevens-Daly thought she could thunder into the Australian 10, referee blows the whistle. Pass was forward.
Like I said earlier, it literally showed then the Ferns how dominant they can be. For me, that's what they need to do, just attack around that row, just really got individual strong runners, and I think that's their strength. They don't need to try and play like the Gillaroos and look to play every time and get the ball out wide. Maybe just have some quick balls from the ruck and just get them on the back feet.
Well, Crystal Raw has certainly got the ability to do that as the ball is carried forward by try scorer Jessica Sergis for Australia. In at dummy half is Davis. Davis will pass the ball along the line, and again it ends up in the end in Taufa's hands, and Simi Taufa is tackled inside the Kiwi 40. Davis to the right. Oh, there's a lovely dummy there and a chance for Brigginshaw, and Brigginshaw will get the ball in the end back in field. Australia will be tackled, round and about 10 out. Here's a chance to stretch New Zealand. No one home on the right edge, and Australia are in again. And it's Isabel Kelly who will touch the ball down, all born out of the skill of Ali Brigginshaw in the previous tackle. New Zealand sucked into centre field. No one home on the right edge of their defence. Australia have their second, and they lead 10-0.
Yeah, as you pointed out, it was Brigginshaw with the dummies, wasn't it? Inside and out, she had plenty of support, and it was Bremner. She threw an audacious pass to Bremner, who just collected it, and then they were straight on the money. As we've seen many times in this tournament, the skill's good, they're too quick. The disarray of New Zealand defence, it was fractured, but right to left shift there from Australia, and just in at the corner. So I was just going to say, I felt that New Zealand were just working their way into this game a little bit. They made a really sharp run in the middle of the field, and unlucky really with the forward pass there on an opportunity just previous to this last set for the Aussies. But yeah, it was a real blow this for New Zealand as they did look to find their way in this game.
I think that try shows Australia made easy yards quite quickly, and for me the great skill in that show and go was class, but just the shape and the bodies off the ball each time, and the confidence that they're playing with. For me, they're so composed and playing at ease and enjoying it. You can see they're playing with a smile on their face, and I think that's the difference between the two teams at the moment. The Ferns are feeling the pressure, you can see it, and they're forcing the passing, they're forcing the ball work, and they've got the ball where the Gillaroos at the moment, for me, are enjoying having the ball, where I think New Zealand at the moment are feeling a little bit of pressure each time they have it.
Was it a forward pass, Amanda, for that try?
I didn't feel it was myself, but it was online. But for me, I wouldn't have said it was a forward pass. But
no, I'm with you there. I think it was a good pass, good skill from Australia. To be fair, I thought the Kiwis were outdone by their forward pass decision too. But
Brigginshaw can't add the extras. It's Exeter 0, Ipswich 2 in the football. Latest score there. It's 10-0 here to the Gillaroos on BBC 5 Live. Paul Rowley, who is the head coach of Salford Red Devils men's, and Amanda Wilkinson, Barrow Raiders ladies, the voices you're hearing alongside myself, Richard Stead, here at Old Trafford for this first in a double header of Rugby League World Cup finals that you're listening to this afternoon here on BBC 5 Live. 10-0 then, with 16.5 minutes gone, and once again it will be the Gillaroos with ball in hand and the chance to gain some metres. Ivania Polite is the ball carrier up towards her own 40. In at dummy half as Australia moved the ball around. Taryn Aiken, it was her pass that managed to put Kelly in the corner. And, well, good strong carry again from Taufa back into the Kiwi half, and Davis is in at dummy half. Goes up towards the 40. Brigginshaw will pass it to Apps, and Apps is tackled 30 metres just to the right-hand side of the goalpost as the Gillaroos attack. Now it's carried forward by Cherrington, Kennedy Cherrington for Australia. This will be the last then, and it's an opportunity for boot to ball maybe for Australia. No, they're going to run it actually and turn the ball over 15 metres from the Kiwi line, and Clydesdale places that ball down. Did they lose count of the tackles there? Yeah, it's a bit of a strange play, wasn't it? They looked they looked to have set up nicely, just needed a kick to the corner as you'd normally see. So to hit a lead ball, bit of a dead play really. Obviously they're going to turn it on now in defence, and the hard work's there for New Zealand, but yeah, a bit of a wasted opportunity for Australia. Well, first interchange of the afternoon. I think that's Nuasala who has come off for the Kiwi Ferns, as New Zealand again just inject a little bit of pace around dummy half and win a penalty by doing so. You called it, Amanda.
I feel that's where their strengths are. You know, we saw it against England, that they can look up and see that gap around the marker and the A defender, and just, you know, they've got good footwork and they've got good power, and I think that's where their threat is, and they need to just try and get the Gillaroos on the back foot a little, rather than looking to shift and play each time they get the ball.
Tess Pooley has come on to replace Nuasala as the Ferns move that ball along the line there. Abigail Roach with the pass to try and break a little hole in the Gillaroos' defence. Oh, big strong carry from Amber Hall, and the Gillaroos stand firm. It was a good bit of contact there, but in the end not too many metres after contact, and the Kiwis are up towards the Australian 40. Little pass by Crystal Rota there, and an opportunity maybe for Brianna Clark to carry the ball up towards the Australian 30. This is the last, and New Zealand needs to be careful not to get caught with ball in hand. And Appy Nichols there thought she spotted a gap, but in the end all she did was run into an Australian defender, lose the ball and turn it over.
Yeah, it was Nichols who won the penalty, wasn't it? And she's looked quick on a few occasions. So the more she can get involved for New Zealand, as Amanda pointed out, in and around that ruck, then the Aussies don't all look comfortable when they're defending the quick people for New Zealand.
Australia have the ball and the lead, 10 points to 0. Bit of a juggle there with the ball from Australia, as they, through Julia Robinson, nearly committed an error inside their own 20. In the end, she was tackled just before she could breach the 30. Taken forward now by the Gillaroos, by their first interchange, Caitlin Johnston, and her first job was to carry the ball into the Ferns half. Now one of the try scorers, Kelly, with an offload there. It's a bit of a wobbly one, but Australia still have it, and then that's poor execution. Opportunity maybe to set Avania Polite away on the far side, but in the end Davis's pass was forward and just into the advertising hoardings.
Yeah, that's the last two sets now, isn't it, where the Gillaroos seem to have you know, playing a little bit rushed or a little bit scrappy for what they've done for the opening part of the game. For me, they don't want to get drawn into that, because they've been playing with great composure and shape and structure, and I think they need to stick to that to get this win.
Brianna Clark's had a carry. Murdoch Masilla now takes the ball into the Australian half, and Rota comes in. She will pass the ball along the left-hand side, and Poulet tries to break through. That's a good first carry for the Kiwi interchange. Rota in again, and New Zealand on the Australian 20. They've not had many opportunities like this. Georgia Hale is the Fern who is tackled there. Rota will pass the ball out towards the right-hand side, and again another strong carry from Amber Hall, but again really struggling to break through that 20-metre line. Here on the last, it will be a kick forward from McGregor. Bobbles, bounces, little bit too much on it. Arguably the best opportunity for the Ferns so far, but too much for both Hafanga and Stevens-Daly to get there.
Yeah, it's a great set. Really challenged Australia. They've got plenty of opportunities through movement and shape, and played really direct, hard running, and really good leg speed, quick rucks, and for a really tidy finish in the end. Just unlucky, the ball just bounced into touch, but this is exactly where they want Australia, and the risk for Australia is they let complacency slip into their game.
Gillaroos with the ball, and still inside their own 30 at the moment. 10 points to 0. Surgis and Kelly, the two try scorers for the Gillaroos. One converted by Brigginshaw, the other not, and that time it's Crystal Rota who concedes a penalty there, just lingering a little bit too long in the ruck. And was that ball stolen? No, it was lost. It was lost, and well, despite the protest of Jessica Surgis, it's going to be a Kiwi ball.
Where do you want to go?
And we've just talked about them getting good field position, so they had a good set, turned the ball over in a good place for the Ferns, and the Ferns really needed to dominate there. Lucky there that they lost the ball, because they'd give a penalty away and blow the chances of the transition from defence into attack there, but they've got the ball back here, so let's hope they capitalise on it.
10-0 to Australia, as Hafanga will take the ball in towards the Gillaroos 30. Numbers in the tackle. Rota passes it back into centre field, where Clark busies herself with another strong carry in the engine room of that Ferns pack. Rorter this time to Hale. Hale looks along the line and manages to get that ball to Murdoch Masilla, who is tackled 10 out. Maynard is coming on to be another Ferns interchange. Oh, great dummy, great chance. Wonderful stuff there from the Golden Boot. Racine McGregor hoisted to the floor, 5 out, and New Zealand still asking questions through Amber Hall, who is surrounded by 4 Australian defenders. She's a body length from the line. This is the last tackle. What can New Zealand do? Well, it's a chance maybe for McGregor to put boot to ball. And is that knocked on by Australia? Yes, it is. Yeah. 6 more for New Zealand.
That's another set. They're really growing in confidence, aren't they? We've seen them with the show and go, just as we've seen Higginson do in the early exchanges. They've got inside, outside, so there's more movement now. They seem a lot more energised, New Zealand, a lot more confident, and this is about 3-4 sets now they've had on the Aussies line, so a few mistakes from Australia creeping in, and yeah, this is the time to shine for New Zealand.
I feel the Ferns, this is where they like to play, don't they? They like to defend, and I think they like to show the dominance in defence at this time, at this place on the field, and hopefully now they can put something together to get some points on the board.
Well, McGregor passes the ball there to Nichols, and again the Ferns are appealing for a penalty, and in fairness Kelly was a little bit high there, but nothing given by referee Sharp, as now Rorter will carry that ball to within 3 metres of the Gillaroos line, and doing the wrestling there on the line. As, oh, this time again it's the interchange. Pooley who nearly breaks through, and this time she goes without the ball, and the Gillaroos are the team who are celebrating because they forced a New Zealand error.
It's a tough call. I'm just looking at the replay. Is it Higginson who's got up really high? Brigginshaw, sorry, who's got up really high for Australian defence. And they've just claimed, the referee said she's knocked it into Brigginshaw, so yeah, it's a knock on, obviously wasted opportunity, but yeah, I guess they've got to try and D up now and build more pressure and force another error. I'm looking at the replay. I think it's a bit of a tough call, to be honest.
Yeah, Pooley was the one who lost the ball there, but it will be a head and feed to the green and gold on their own 10, and they lead by 10 points to 0. And well, Apps will bring this ball out of the 10. 3 black-shirted defenders drop her to the floor, and it's Hall who's the last off the ruck and files in at marker. And the Gillaroos now will try and go around the New Zealand edge. That's a really good carry there from the Australian number 24, bringing that ball forwards. And well, Australia really trying to put some metres down this left edge as Davis goes into dummy half. Polite is the 24, by the way. And now Australia try and break through from first receiver, straightening up, and just introduced Emma Tonagata, who we heard from in the pre-match. Her first move in the game was to add 10 or 20 metres just to the right of the ruck. Brigginshaw with the kick forward. It's a foot race. It might bounce into Australian hands. It does, and it's a wonderful try from Robinson. Again, the creator is Ali Brigginshaw, and Julia Robinson there leaping highest, leaping over the Kiwi defence. Barland unable to deal, and Australia extend their advantage. It's 14 points to 0 in the World Cup final.
That come down to the hard work, didn't it, from the forwards, just coming out of your own end. I think the Ferns need to learn from that. That's all they did then, the Gillaroos. They changed tactics a little bit. They got the forwards. They didn't go with the pace and stuff. They just did the hard yards, got themselves into a good position, and then got shape off the ball. Absolutely brilliant kick. Good chase there, and a great finish. But I think, for me, the work was done here in their own end. They had the ball in their own end, and they come out by putting the yards in, just so simple yards from the forwards.
Got to say, Brigginshaw's proving to be the standout player in this cup final at the minute. She's involved in everything that's pivotal in this game. Well, she forced an error on yardage there just to thwart New Zealand's try scoring attempt, and then at the other end of the field she comes up with that pinpoint kick. So she has made the breaks, she has made the kicks. All the big moments are involving Brigginshaw at the minute. She's playing really well.
Julia Robinson has just taken herself 1 try in front of Leah Burke and Tara Jane Stanley, and also teammate Ivania Polite, on to 7 tries in this tournament. She is the leading try scorer in the Rugby League Women's World Cup. And Brigginshaw with an opportunity to add the extras here, influential in almost everything good that the Gillaroos have done so far. She was a guest on the 5 Live Rugby League World Cup podcast this week that I was listening to driving across to Old Trafford today. She can't add the extras there though, and it remains 14-0, and we've played a minute shy of half an hour.
Yeah, let's go to these next few minutes are really important for New Zealand. We have seen them work their way back into the game, but Australia have just repelled everything, and that's where they are good, that's where they are consistent. They've probably had a little bit of a wake-up call these last 5 minutes, but their ability to come out of yardage and really be ruthless at the other end of the field just through hard work and speeding the game up is just costing New Zealand. Australia are so good, so consistent, and like I said, it is really being led by Brigginshaw.
Former Wigan Warrior George Carmont captained Samoa, didn't he? He's on the coaching staff of the Kiwi Ferns. I've seen former Huddersfield loose forward David Fayumu as well down in the dugouts there, part of Ricky Henry's coaching staff. It's the Gillaroos who've got the ball, and they're bringing it out of their own 40 at the moment. It was Taryn Aiken who went into dummy half initially to get things going, and Lauren Brown took a carry forward. Here comes Kelly up towards the Kiwi Ferns 30, and this time Brown is operating around acting halfback. Ball played in towards centre field, and Australia through Tonagato will be stopped 30 out in front of the uprights. Then now towards the right hand side, Brigginshaw manages to get Bremner away, wearing the 2 but playing at full back. This is Australia's last. Brigginshaw will put boot to ball, and it's a foot race, and in the end Happy Nichols is across and judges it nicely, gets there before the Australian kick chasers.
As Paul said, just so dominant is Brigginshaw at the moment. Just then she was constantly talking and organising and getting shape from right from getting the ball in the early start of the set. And then finishing with what was again a great kick. It's always about consistency with this game and just grinding away every time, every set they do. They're finishing with a good kick and they're finishing on their terms, and all the pressure is on the Ferns at the moment.
Well, Melly Hafanga just took a really good carry, but it's actually Autumn Rain Stevens Daly. That's four seasons in one name nearly there, isn't it, who wins the penalty there. And the Gillaroos are reversed upfield by the Kiwi Ferns, who instead of bringing the ball out of their own 20 are going to be tapping just inside the Gillaroos half. Well, Belinda Sharp wants Crystal Rorter to come and play the ball from the correct position, which she now does, and it's Hale who is tackled by the number 14 Brown for Australia. And even though Rorter is on at the moment, it's Maynard who's mainly operating at dummy half and giving Rorter a chance to be in at first receiver on a couple of occasions, as is the case here. Rorter with the dummy. It's a robust Gillaroos tackle though, and a loose carry from Rorter, and the Gillaroos get the ball outside their own 20.
Yeah, I mean, it's a loose carry, but you've got to say it's she's really put a shoulder in there, the Australian number 14, Lauren Brown it was, who's really bent her back and got her just underneath the ribcage and in the ball area. So strong defence again from Australia, and New Zealand, well, they've got to do a little bit more, haven't they? They've got to run with a little bit more shape and you know, try and create a few more one-on-one opportunities, because as it is, Australia are just absorbing him. It's too easy for Aussies at the minute.
14-0. You're listening to BBC 5 Live on this Saturday afternoon, this World Cup doubleheader Saturday afternoon. The Gillaroos against the Ferns in game 1, 14-0 to Australia, who'll be looking to do the double on the day as the men's team take on Samoa from 4 o'clock this afternoon. And the Gillaroos are just conspiring to be their own worst enemies at the moment, as I'm recapping the scores and telling you what's coming up. They're throwing the ball on the floor inside their own half. Another interchange as well for Australia, as a return to the fray for Shannon Marteau, and going off is Simi Taufa for a well-earned rest. She's been good. And the Gillaroos have moved back in towards the Kiwi half, and that was a good strong carry forward by Caitlin Johnston, Now it's in the hands of Bremner. Bremner looking for a gap. She's hauled down on the far side by Nita Maynard. This is the last, and here comes a kick you would imagine from Brigginshaw again. It's a steepling bomb, which Appy Nichols is underneath inside her own 10, but she's got a wall of green and gold running towards her.
The pace from the Gillaroos at the moment is what's the difference between the two teams. Even there, the ball was going to floor. You know, not the best exit from them in yardage, but still doing it on their terms really, and keeping control even when playing sloppy really. You know, I think for me at the moment the Ferns really need to just try and complete, but be a little bit more dominant in attack.
Melia Fanger with another carry that got the crowd on their feet momentarily there, as now the ball is in Roxy Murdoch-Masilla's hands, if that name sounds familiar. Her husband is Ben Murdoch-Masilla, formerly of Warrington and Salford as well. Now the Ferns will carry the ball into the Gillaroos half, and again it's Pooley who's been good since her introduction. On the last, a chance for McGregor to kick that ball high, and the ball will hang and it will draw Australia forward, and Polite is able to get there before anyone else, and she'll find the front 30 metres from her own line.
Yeah, there's a distinct difference between Australia and New Zealand's kicking.
Oh, goodness me, just interrupt there, Paul. Hit of the game so far, and well, goodness me, someone there must have said something to Maya Hill-Moana. She was the lady who led the haka for New Zealand. She's come on off the bench, and her first act, I don't think she tackled the Australian ball carrier. She almost ate her, goodness me.
Yeah, it's Julie Robinson who's the unfortunate one there. She's just been cut in half, unfortunately, but yeah, Aussies get a penalty now, 30-40 metres out from Kiwi's line, so big chance for Australia obviously to build pressure and maybe get over the line again. Just going to point out that the distinct difference between the two teams are last plays at the minute for me. The range on New Zealand's kick, and we've even seen them get penalties and not kick to touch because they've got no confidence in the range at all, where the Aussies, they're so accurate and so consistent, and they've got a good range in the kicking game, so real disadvantage for the Kiwis.
Clydesdale takes the first carry off the tap, and now it's taken forward by Marto to within about 15 metres of the Kiwi goal line. Here comes Brigginshaw again, showing some footwork. Australia heading out towards the left edge again. Kelly is in. Isabel Kelly will touch the ball down, set away on that left-hand side there. Wonderful work from Taryn Aiken to put her in the, well, not quite the corner. There was still another pass to go if Kelly wanted to take it, but she takes the try herself and puts Australia 18 points to 0 up.
As Paul said there, we talked about the confidence with the kicking, but the confidence in general with the Gillaroos, you can see it oozing. The team are playing with so much confidence. You can see they're enjoying it, where I feel the body language at the moment from the Ferns, because they're doing a lot of defending, and those penalties, they can't afford to be giving penalties away. The Gillaroos are playing at the moment on their terms most of the game. You know, they're getting the easy yards, getting a good position, and just from Brigginshaw again there, just the pace just to take the ball to the line. Good carry, showed it, and just got that pass to shift the ball, and the speed and the support and the people pushing around the ball and the options. You know, the Ferns have got so many questions. The defenders are all over because who are they taking? The Gillaroos have just got them all over. The defence is everywhere.
Well, I don't know whether it's Brad Donald who's decided or Ali Brigginshaw herself, but she's been relieved of kicking duties after only kicking 1 of 3 conversions, and Lauren Brown is going to be trying to add the extras here from 3 or 4 metres in from this left edge touch line. As we look down, Australia are running towards the Stretford end in this first half, and the ball's on its way, and it dissects the uprights, and Brown is good on her first attempt, and Australia's lead is 20 points to 0.
Yeah, you've got to say, New Zealand, you know, a really silly penalty there for a little bit of a facial on Australia. They don't need any gifts, do they? And so they're killing themselves. And then even, you know, when they get to the try, the Australian players took two defenders over the try line with them, and it's poor defence from New Zealand. So we can wax lyrical all we want about Australia, but I reckon the Aussies will go in and say they could be even better, because they've put 5 or 6 balls to ground, and what they'd consider themselves slightly sloppy in attack at times, but they've got 2 more gears, the Aussies, so it's worrying for New Zealand.
Sleeping on my own stats there, Lauren Brown has just extended her goal scoring lead in this tournament to 26. Just wondered if Brigginshaw would have kept the duties going for the remainder of the first half, but no, she's on and is the first choice, so adds to her tally as Australia will move the ball into the New Zealand half. Aiken passes the ball to Brigginshaw. Brigginshaw out towards Robinson. Robinson there will cut in off the wing and look to carry that ball strongly up towards the Ferns 20. And again, Australia look to put some real pressure on as we head in towards the final 2 minutes of this first 40. 20 points to nil the lead, and it could be more because Australia in a really good place at the moment. Lauren Brown will be in at dummy half, 12 metres from the line. Passes the ball to Aiken. Aiken there manages to wrestle free from one tackle attempt, but not the second. And on the last, Australia are on the Kiwi 10. Here comes Brigginshaw with a kick. Floats to the far side, gets the ball, and, well, just short of the line. Wonderful defence in the end there by New Zealand over on the far side, as far away from where we are as they can be. Bartlett is the one who wins the leaping contest and diffuses the danger.
Australia there, they just find themselves, they get themselves just under the sticks, don't they? Get themselves where they've got options either side of the ruck. The shape from and options there were outstanding, and then turning the ball over again on their terms and putting the New Zealanders under pressure now to come out of their own end. It'd be interesting here to see if New Zealand have got anything to be able to get over that halfway line.
Well, a 6 again will help, and that's what they've got. And with 50 seconds remaining, New Zealand have got 70 metres to go to try and register some points to take into the half-time interval. At the moment, though, as Paige McGregor is tackled on her own 30, it's still the Gillaroos who are looking as though they will take a 20 points to nil lead in. I'll get the thoughts of both Amanda and Paul and what they would be saying to their respective teams at the interval. Were they coaching in this game as the ball is carried forward by Maynard up towards the halfway line? Could well be a kick coming, otherwise the Kiwis will run out of time here as Appy Nichols gets the ball there too. Afanga, and Afanga will flick the ball along the line, and Stevens Daly is caught with it, and, well, it would have been very speculative, but I'd still argue that the Kiwis should have probably kicked the previous tackle. It is the half-time hooter, and it is Australia with that dominant lead, 20 points to nil. Kelly with a brace of tries, Sergis with the first, Robinson's scored the pick, Brigginshaw 1 from 3 off the kicking tee. Lauren Brown managed to nail her sole attempt. The opinions first of Amanda Wilkinson, the head coach of Barra Raiders ladies.
I think both teams going in will be quite different talks, but I think, as Paul said, you know, the standard of the Australian team, you know, they have been scrappy at times and they'll want to come out even better in the second half. And as for the New Zealanders, for me, they haven't really found themselves in this game. They've been, you know, inconsistent. They've not worked away at the Aussies, and that is their strength in just dominating in an area or either in defence or attack, and they're not at the moment. They need to get back to what they do well. They need to do the little things well and build on that and get some good field position.
Very quickly, Paul.
Yeah, you can see what the Aussies are doing. They've been consistent. They just keep repeating. The skills can improve. That's what they're saying. They don't have to change anything. The Kiwis can't see what they're trying to do. They've got a lot of work to do. Half-time
here, Australia 20, New Zealand 0.
And we might actually be able to bring you some live half-time reaction. That's what we can do at this Rugby League World Cup final. So we'll keep listening out to see if we can hear from maybe one of the captains of the two teams. I can see down there right now the Australian captain is just going through a half-time interview, Kezi Apps. But Amanda Wilkinson, in fact, you know what, let's listen in. Let's listen in.
If we don't hold the ball, so we just need to cut those errors out of our game. When we're getting down our end, obviously we're killing ourselves with those errors. So if we can just hold the ball this next half and, you know, get some stronger carries out of the back end, then we'll be all right.
To get back into this game in this second half, how much is going to be physical? How much is going to be mental?
I think we've got the physical side. It's mentally now. We need to go into the changing room, reset, and then come back out firing for the second half.
Madison Bartlett, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, Madison Bartlett, New Zealand player there, speaking to us live on 5 Live Sport. And Amanda, I mean, she's talking about the way back in. Is there a way back in?
I think think there is a way back in, but they really need to change how they played from the first half. For me, we mentioned about being physical there. I'd have to disagree. I don't think they were the most physical side. I think the Australians were much more physical. They were tidy around the markers and A defenders, and they dominated. They wrestled really well, and they got the New Zealanders on the back. I would say defensively, New Zealand were offside a lot. They were dominant at marker, and they let the Australians march them up the field with either penalties or poor wrestle. And I think physicality in attack, the Australians just played to a strength. They got themselves in a good position and played, whereas the New Zealanders didn't dominate around the ruck like they can with their strength. They didn't play to their strengths for me, and I think they need to do that in the second half. They need to play like they do rather than looking at what the Australians are doing. They're completely different sides, and they are physical, and they need to dominate more with that physicality.
Paul, that they were just starting to show signs. They have that set of 6 right in front of the post. It looked like New Zealand might start to find their way back into it, but then that combination of Brigginshaw and Julia Robinson, that was a sickener, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and I absolutely agree with Amanda that they're not the most physical side at all. So they need to get a plan and stick to it, because I'm looking at them and I can't see what they're trying to achieve. So they're going left, right, middle. They're all over the place. Whereas Australia, they're doing all the hard work down the middle channel behind against the grain, and then channeling this left edge here, and a lot of left to right shifts to Brigginshaw there, who's been instrumental for Australia, and they're winning all the one-on-one collisions. So yeah, New Zealand, to me, whatever that plan is, if it's behind the ruck, and stick to it, and then just be consistent with it, because I think the Aussies will get better in this second half, and from a neutral then, I feel the worst is going to come for New Zealand.
Paul Rowley, Amanda Wilkinson, thank you very much indeed. So half-time in the Rugby League World Cup final. In the women's final, Australia leading New Zealand by 20 points to 0. We've got the men's final, Australia against Samoa. We'll talk much more about that game closer to kick-off, and we've got second half commentary as well to come here from Old Trafford. We'll be around all of the other big live sport going on this afternoon after the news with Matthew Bourne.
Take the World Cup with you. Qatar 2022.
On BBC Sounds, this is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The president of FIFA has called Western countries hypocrites for criticising Qatar's human rights record on the eve of the World Cup. The host nation's treatment of migrant workers and LGBT rights have come under scrutiny in the build-up to the tournament, but Gianni Infantino said European nations should apologise for acts committed in their own histories rather than focusing on today's issues in Qatar. Rishi Sunak has made his first visit to Ukraine since becoming the Prime Minister. Footage on social media shows Mr Sunak meeting with President Zelensky in Kyiv. The reason for the visit is currently unknown. Meanwhile, the head of Ukraine's biggest private energy firm has called on people who can afford to leave the country to do so to ease pressure on the nation's power grid. Millions have been left without power as a result of Russian missile attacks. And a Scottish engineer who's been held in an Iraqi jail has been freed and reunited with his family in Edinburgh. Brian Glendenning, who's 43, was arrested in September over an alleged debt owed to the Qatar National Bank.
The best live sport.
The FIFA World Cup, Qatar 2022.
Top scorer, Darwin Núñez.
Núñez with a shot, tucks it away.
It's got to be Harry Kane.
Kane sticks it away. He scores another penalty.
Messi will get the golden boot.
It is Messi. Messi still going, hits the post, and it's in. He's done it.
Coverage of every game starts this Sunday with live commentary of Qatar v Ecuador on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Australia 20, New Zealand 0, half-time in the Women's Rugby League World Cup final. We've got second half commentary on the way. We were also hoping to bring you commentary this afternoon of several races. 3 from Ascot, where John Hunt is. The last remaining race with a big name is due off at 2:05. There's a but coming, isn't there, John Hunt?
Yeah, a big but, and it's widely anticipated. You're right, Steve, that Gold Cup fancy L'Homme Presse has in the last half an hour been withdrawn by trainer Venetia Williams, so he joins the other big names on the sidelines today. Constitution Hill was pulled out of his race, the Coral Hurdle, at lunchtime, and Edward Stone, such a smart 2-mile chaser, was a morning withdrawal from his race, the Hurst Park Handicap Chase. So yeah, you're right, Steve, we were hoping to see those 3 huge talents in 3 separate races this afternoon, but not one of them runs, and that is despite 50 millimetres of rain earlier this week in this part of the world. The ground is still considered by their trainers to be too lively, too quick, quick, and they're not prepared to risk their very best horses. So I'm afraid here at Ascot that has meant a really subdued afternoon, which continues with the races. 2-3 runner races through the afternoon. Not a great spectacle, but happily that's not the same all over the country today.
Yeah, that is a huge shame on such a big day of racing, but there is better news. Hopefully at Haydock, that's where we find Darren Owen. Last year's Gold Cup winner is expected to ride, Darren.
Yes, absolutely, Steve. Yes, all eyes on A Plus Tard, last year's Gold Cup hero. And yeah, brighter news here at Haydock Park. Wonderful race-going conditions. It's a lovely day in this part of the world. The ground is officially described as soft. A Plus Tard won this race in devastating style last year by 22 lengths. It is actually softer this year, Steve, compared to last year. And Connections, the trainer Henry de Bromhead, jockey Rachel Blackmore have expressed some concerns over the ground, but he's the short price favourite. He's got 4 rivals. The second favourite today is Protectorat, who was third in the Cheltenham Gold Cup. The veteran course specialist Bristol de May is in the lineup. He's won the race 3 times. He won the Betfair Chase 3 times. He's making his 6th appearance in this year's race. One of the most popular horse and rider partnerships in the sport is Frodon and Bryony Frost, and they will attempt to make their presence felt this afternoon, to give champion trainer Paul Nicholls a 7th win in the contest. The stable are firing on all cylinders. They've already had a couple of winners here this afternoon, and the lineup is completed by Eldorado Allen for Team Tizard, who have won the Betfair Chase 4 times. So it's a good field, but all eyes on A Plus Tard, and I'm sure we'll all end up being disappointed if A Plus Tard doesn't deliver this afternoon.
John, I feel so sorry for you. I wish you could be there with Darren to witness all of that.
I know, but it's one of those things, isn't it? I will be speaking to the clerk of the course about track conditions here at Ascot a bit later on this afternoon. Just a final bit of news on the big names that haven't run this afternoon, Steve. Constitution Hill, Nicky Henderson is considering sending him to Newcastle next weekend, where he may clash with stablemate Epatante. That's in the fighting 5th hurdle. If not there, he might run at Cheltenham on December the 10th. And Edwardstone, also today a high-profile withdrawal, will now be targeting the Tingle Creek Chase at Sandown on the first Saturday in December.
John, Darren, thank you both very much indeed. This time last year, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the last Grand Prix of the season, we were waiting to see who was going to win the world title. We've known for some time, but there is still plenty up for grabs out in Abu Dhabi. Jack Nicholls is watching qualifying.
Yes, we are in the very early stages. Yuki Tsunoda is quickest at the moment, but the Ferraris have just gone out on circuit, as have Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. Sam Bird, the Formula E driver for Jaguar, is alongside me. Sam, this is looking like it's going to be a strong afternoon/evening for Red Bull.
I think that's the way it's going to pan out, Jack. I think that Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen are the 2 to beat this evening out in Abu Dhabi. Cooler track temperatures this evening. I think Mercedes look decent, Red Bull look a step ahead.
So very early stages of the session, of course. Still got a long way to go before we find out who's on pole position in about 50 minutes time. And it looks most likely, Steve, that it'll be Max Verstappen, but long way to go. Stranger things have happened.
Thank you very much, guys. Let's take to the UK Snooker Championship, watching the first of the semi-finals at the Barbican. Jamie Broughton.
And the 3 times champion Ding Junhui is taking on Leicester's Tom Ford, and it's Ding Junhui who's won the opening 2 frames, breaks of 33 and 55, but Ford hasn't settled and he'll be furious with himself for those first 2 frames. He had numerous chances in both of them but couldn't do it. He's making it easy for Ding Junhui. He's back at the table again in this frame 3. 6 is required for a place in the final.
Thanks, Jamie. Scotland welcome Argentina to Murrayfield in Rugby Union's Autumn Internationals. Andy Burke is there for us. Andy, any confidence to be taken into this after the New Zealand defeat last weekend?
Good afternoon, Steve. Yeah, I think certainly from the performance, Scotland played very well for 50 minutes. Having fallen 14-0 down, they came back brilliantly and got themselves into a brilliant position to win that match, leading by 9 points. The big frustration is they couldn't close it out from there for a first ever victory over the All Blacks, but they seem to have got over that disappointment. They need to round off this autumn campaign with a win. You'll remember they've only got 1 win from their 3 games so far. They let a victory slip from their grasp against Australia as well, and they beat Fiji, but in pretty unconvincing circumstances. So they will want to round off the autumn and international rugby in 2022 with a victory, but they know fine well that Argentina present a formidable challenge, so this should be a good one.
England face New Zealand as well this afternoon. That's at Twickenham at 5:30. We can now see, as I look to my left-hand side, just next to the Stretford end at Old Trafford, the two teams are beginning to make their way back out for the second half of the Women's Rugby League World Cup final. Australia leading by 20 points to 0 against New Zealand at the break. We've got Amanda Wilkinson and Paul Rowley, your co-commentators. Amanda, if New Zealand are going to stage the fight back of all fight backs, what do they need to do in the first few minutes?
They need to decide how they're going to play to have any impact in this second half. So for me, in defence, they need to win the floor more around the marker, need to be more dominant and turn the Gillaroos over. And in attack, just be more dominant. Just find the weakness in the Gillaroos and keep going for it and be a little bit more consistent.
All yours, Richard.
Well, it's a big task, and the Gillaroos will be wanting to put more points on this Kiwi Ferns side in the second half, as New Zealand will get us back underway. Someone's just tried to sabotage me here by passing Amanda a coffee and pouring half of it on my team sheet. So a bit of a mean trick in a World Cup final, but we'll plough on. 20 points to 0 at half-time then is the Gillaroos lead, and they're very much in command here at Old Trafford. As Appy Nichols gets us underway in the second half, it's been collected there by the influential Brigginshaw, and Australia will try and bring the ball out of their own half to start things off. Bent was the ball carrier there. Now it's back into centre field, and Kiwis having to muscle up in defence. Amber Hall, who's been busy for New Zealand, both carrying the ball forward and putting in those tackles on the Australian ball carriers, was the defender there. Belinda Sharp's not happy with where this ball's been played, and there was a bit of pulling and shoving at marker, I think. So she said take it back to where the tackle was complete, and it will be Caitlin Johnston who will bring the ball in towards the Kiwis half. Murdoch Masilla was the defender. Now it's taken forward again by Australia, by Shannon Marto, and she's tackled 40 metres from the New Zealand line. First kicking anger of the second half will come from Brigginshaw, who will hoist it high. It's not got many metres on it, hasn't this? And it's collected by Madison Bartlett, and I think off cue for one of the first times in this game there, Ali Brigginshaw on the last.
Yeah, good pressure from New Zealand. It's a little bit different defensively. They applied pressure to the kicker from Australia, and they were good on the back of it. A great take. But yeah, more of the same from Australia. No risk taken. Got to the end of the set and got the good kick away. So again, patient and disciplined.
McGregor just got picked up and taken back by 4 Gillaroos, and now Murdoch Masilla will bring the ball out of the 20 as more and more people start to fill up Old Trafford ahead of the men's final, which is coming up at 4 o'clock. The noise increases as well. Madison Bartlett plays that ball, and New Zealand struggling to make these metres. The Gillaroos are as enthusiastic in defence as they are in attack, and Marto again is the main protagonist there as the kick comes from Racine McGregor. Gobbled up though by Sammy Bremner, and she will race back up towards our halfway line into the welcoming arms of Roach.
Again, the Ferns there, coming out of yardage, you just need to smarten up really on and decide how they want to come out of there. Are they going to use power? Are they going to use footwork? Because that was a little bit scrappy again for me. Even though we got to the kick, they just need to be a little bit more dominant coming out of their own end.
Sergius was the ball carrier, then exchanged a push and a shove with Hale there at the play the ball, and the Gillaroos bring the ball up towards the 20, and again Marto looks for an offload, gets it. Johnston steamrolls into the 20. In the end, Hall is there to do the defending alongside Hill Moana. Now out towards the right hand side Australia go, and Sergius tried to get that ball away to Robinson, but instead writhes around inside and finds a front 5 out. Robinson at dummy half. Here's Brigginshaw. Ball rolls along the floor. Knocked on maybe by Johnston. Yes, it was. And the Kiwis will be happy to take the ball there as we welcome listeners to the BBC World Service who join us for this final as New Zealand trail by 20 points to 0 with 3 second half minutes gone. They have ball in hand, and the next voice you hear is Paul Rowley, who is the head coach of the Salford Red Devils.
Yeah, it was really good work from Hill Moana there. New Zealand's aren't giving this up without a fight, and the line defence there was fantastic. Led again by Hill Moana, who really put kick pressure on and forced a bit of a sloppy kick there from Australia. Managed to regather the ball, New Zealand, as they regain, and they get a penalty now, so some easy yardage out of their half. And yeah, this is an early opportunity for New Zealand now to stamp their authority and maybe start to get in a bit of a grind, and we can see what they're trying to achieve and get those fast people more involved. So Nichols and McGregor need to see more of the ball for New Zealand.
Amanda Wilkinson also alongside as the Barrow Raiders ladies head coach. We'll hear from Amanda in just a moment, as Hill Moana does well there to take a ball around her ankles and flops onto a front just inside the Gillaroos half. New Zealand throwing that ball around the halfway line, and good play there from Maynard to try and set Roach away, Abigail Roach, who is tackled by a couple of Gillaroos defenders. Here comes Murdoch Masilla up towards the Gillaroos 40. Good offload again, and New Zealand steam forward. Amber Hall this time will take the ball up towards the 30. That's probably the offload of the game as far as New Zealand are concerned from Murdoch Masilla. Now out towards this left edge where Bartlett is patrolling. She again catches a little bit of a sloppy pass which came her way from Roach and heads back in field. She's tackled 30 out from the Australian line. New Zealand will try and batter their way forward through Tess Cooley at the moment, who has been handed possession by Roach. She's tackled 20 out. The Ferns last. Opportunity for McGregor to kick. It hangs high. It's on the goal line, and in the end it's dealt with very nicely by Sammy Bremner, who will work her way back forward and take the ball back up towards the 20.
Much better there from the Ferns for me. Hale and Roach both organising better than what we saw in the first half. So I thought they played a lot better there with a lot more shape. They look more organised, and you know, they played to a point on the field. They got a good kick in, good chase, just overran by Nicol. But I thought that was a much more positive start from the Ferns.
20 points to nil still. It's BBC 5 Live and BBC World Service at the Rugby League Women's World Cup final here at Old Trafford on this Saturday afternoon. We see clouds now looming over the stadium, a clear blue sky. I'm told there's 2 or 3 of them a year in this part of the northwest, and we had it for the majority of the first half as the Gillaroos make their way into the Kiwi Ferns half, and a kick from Brigginshaw hangs high and is collected by Nichols, who will return that ball towards their own 30. Kick chase led for Australia by Emma Tonagato, and the Ferns will bring the ball up towards the 40 through Stevens Daly, but she's crunched there by a couple of Gillaroos, and now it's handed to Hill Moana to bring the ball out of the 40. In centre field at Old Trafford, Nita Maynard is a dummy half. Along the line it goes via Hale out towards this left-hand side where Clark, who is reintroduced to proceedings, is entrusted with a carry. Again, it's Hale who's trying to decide whether to go right or left, wearing the number 13 jersey, does neither and takes the tackle. On the last, the Ferns will put the ball in the air again. McGregor's kick will be collected, but no, Bremner decides to leave the ball and it will run dead, and it will be a 7-tackle restart on the 20 for the Gillaroos.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the second half. They've got in an arm wrestle by both teams, so there's not much between them. So New Zealand a little bit indecisive when they go anything wider of the ruck, so I think the direct approach is probably something that they maybe want to adopt, and like I said before, get Nichols, McGregor running off the back of those quick rucks and you know, try and work over Australia's middle, but not much between the two at the minute.
Scoreboard reads as it did at half-time, 20 points to nil to the Gillaroos, as Melia Fanga is called on to defend on the right edge for New Zealand, and the Gillaroos move the ball back towards centre field, and Brown is tackled just outside the Kiwi 30. Ball carried forward now by the Gillaroos. Good strong carry as well by Shannon Marto. She gets the ball along the line to Johnston. Quick play the ball. The Gillaroos are away again. Brown at dummy half feeds the ball into centre field where Aiken is tackled. Brown comes in again. passes the ball to the left. There's a runner here, there's a chance here, there's a try here. It's Bremner who is in. Wonderful support, set away by Brigginshaw again. And the Gillaroos have the first score of this second half. And just checking, in fact, it's the interchange. Emma Tomagato who has come in running that line there and has scored that try. Tomagato is the beneficiary of some more wonderful work by Ali Brigginshaw, and it's 24 points to 0.
Yeah, great work there for me from the number 20 Johnson. I thought, you know, she just saw an opportunity there to get some easy yards, and that's sometimes all you need. Them forwards there just to put you in a good position, give your halfbacks a chance to set the platform to be able to play. And the timing of that pass there to put the try scorer in there was absolute class. And that for me is how they're playing at the moment. Just the way they take the ball to the line, they've got options all the time, runners. Which puts the question and doubt into the defence. But for me, it's just the pace at the moment and the confidence the Aussies are playing with.
Yeah, fantastic. I think disappointed for New Zealand. They'll be a little bit disappointed with the work around the marker. They're just filling in, and I think we've seen every time Australia, and it's normally going through Brigginshaw where they do run with shape inside and out. New Zealand is just struggling to cover the spaces, and on that occasion, as we entered the 9th minute of grind and ball in play, New Zealand just getting a little bit of fatigue, just setting in and getting caught short there, and Australia too skillful but too quick as well.
Lauren Brown adds the extras. It's 26 points to 0. You're listening to BBC 5 Live and the BBC World Service as well. And, well, big job of work now for the Kiwi Ferns. 30 minutes of this game to go. Looks like the two men's finalists have started to arrive. Just a little shot of Nathan Cleary, the Australian standoff, gazing out of the Old Trafford tunnel at the first game of this doubleheader of World Cup finals that you will hear this afternoon right here. Matt Newsom and Willie Poaching will join Paul Rowley for the men's final, which kicks off at 4 o'clock. Gillaroos have got the ball again off the restart, and already through Brown have made their way back up towards the 40. Another decent hit, and again involved Hill Moana, who's certainly added a bit of beef to the Kiwi Ferns pack since her introduction. And Gillaroos with an offload there. Brown gets that ball along the way. That's a bit more of a wobbly one, but play on, says the referee. Brown manages to get hold of the ball there. I think that was Taryn Aiken there who rolled rather than passed the ball along the line. Here's Brigginshaw looking for a runner, and it's an opportunity, and it's going to be a try for Australia. Apps managed to get the ball along the line there, and Sergius is through for her second in the game. Had a bit of a juggle, valiant attempt from Paige McGregor to tackle her, but in the end to no avail, and it's back-to-back tries for the Gillaroos, and they're the ones who are jumping at the moment. 30 points to 0.
Yeah, it was this previous ruck, Shannon Mato it was, who's just causing a little bit of disruption. She's bumping people off, she's throwing the offloads in. I think she's been particularly good, especially at the start of this second half, and any sort of disruption or fracturing the Kiwis' defence there, well, Australia are too quick, aren't they? And when there's trouble and when there's speed and something good happening, well, Brigginshaw's never too far away from that involvement, and it was Brigginshaw again who's obviously just provided the pass there, and the wet surface here at Old Trafford has just enabled him to roll over and get another try. So yeah, he's getting worrying for New Zealand. Obviously 30-0 he's not a good scoreline, obviously, and you can see it getting worse as the Aussies start to look like they're having a lot of fun out there.
Weather forecast there from referee Belinda Sharp, just as a bit of a cough as well she's got, hasn't she, poor Belinda, as Lauren Brown places the ball on the kicking tee here, sends it on its way, and again adds to her tally. She's now kicked how many in this tournament? 28, and she's narrowing in on being the leading point scorer as well. Tara Jane Stanley stands alone on 62 at the moment. Lauren Brown's up to 56, and the way the Gillaroos are going, she could have a few more by the 80th minute.
Sergius is there though, just going back to that try. Such a strong runner at the moment. For me, you sometimes don't notice those players as much that just do those little things really well. For me, she's been really dominant. Every carry she's made has been dominant with good footwork and strength.
32-0 New Zealand lead. Caitlin Johnston takes a carry up the gut of the Kiwi defence, and a couple of black-shirted defenders throw their bodies in front of the ball carrier, as now the recently reintroduced Taufa will bring the ball up towards the Australian 40. Brown still whirring away at dummy half as the Gillaroos make steady progress up towards halfway. Again, it's Johnston involved. Brown looks for options and manages to feed that ball along the line to Aiken. Aiken in turn will try and set Clydesdale away. She's tackled though, and a quick play the ball, and Aiken is 20 metres from the Ferns line. This will be the last. Brown at dummy half, down the short side. Australia are running it, an offload coming. Here's a kick now, crossfield from Brigginshaw. Hat-trick's on for Sergis. She won't get there, a teammate will. Robinson, though, I don't think has grounded that. One or two people celebrating. I don't think that ball was cleanly grounded. It will go to the video referee on the field. Belinda Sharp says no try. Adam G will have a look. We'll find out what Paul Rowley and Amanda Wilkinson think.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go no try on first impression. I would agree with the referee, but again, you've got to say the Australians here, they're really just,
the kick and
we
freeze
spoke
on the
about
boot, please, and then follow through on the wide angle.
To come from Australia, they put 6 balls or something like that down in the first half, so as good as they were as clinical as we knew they could be, and you've got to say the
right
second half
side,
they've been
Australia
fantastic.
kick chaser on side.
Really
can we just play through on the wide angle, please? Just
And,
make sure there's no
interference. They're drowning at the minute, New Zealand, and it's fantastic from Australia.
He's just been
really smart play there as well from them. They just recognised that they had the Ferns on the back foot there, you know, and they're starting to dominate the ruck area. And for me to be able to just like play, like you say, they've tidied up the areas, but recognising that there was space there around the ruck, just going at the jaw, taking the ball to the jaw, and then just literally putting that wide shift on. An absolute class kick as well.
Well, I think the problem will come from the grounding more than the onside offside. It's a very difficult angle to tell there. The ball's clearly, in my opinion, out of Robinson's hands before she's anywhere near the floor. We'll see a better angle here, and just on the replay in front of us, yeah, no try, and that's just a drop ball for me, I think, Amanda.
Yeah, shame there. She did everything right, didn't she? But just poor grip, wasn't it? Just come down to that simple skill of poor grip. She didn't have any grip on the ball and just lost the carrier. She went to place it down for a try.
Well, there's a New Zealand player still down receiving treatment. Play will continue. It's the fullback, Nichols, who has got 3 members of the medical team around her, and I don't think she's going to be able to continue. There's some gestures coming from the medical staff as Crystal Rota will be tackled with the ball, and then Belinda Sharp has realised that there's a player down. I don't think it's a head injury, but the referee is going to run over and check it. I don't think New Zealand will mind having a little breather, Paul.
No, not at all, but what they will mind is if Nichols is not good to continue, because you do feel I think she's had a whack to the nose. Actually, she's sticking the old buds up, and there's a bit of claret there coming from the nose. So you know, well, I think they'll be hoping, and we're hoping as neutrals here, that she does continue, because she's certainly got a lot of pace. And you've got to say anything New Zealand, if they're going to come back into this game or get some points, that you know, there's a good chance that it could come in and around Nichols and McGregor.
I'm just looking at that replay. It was from the other angle, and Robinson's shoulder goes into Nichols' nose, or vice versa, really, in fairness. And Nichols is going to have to come off to receive some treatment there. And New Zealand have not got an interchange ready, so just to recap, 32-0, it was 20-0 at half-time. We've had a brace of braces. Sergis and Kelly have both scored 2 apiece. Robinson with the try of the game so far, and Tonagato with the only try, the first try in the second half, beg your pardon. Sergis is the most recent try scorer, and New Zealand are able to bring someone back on, and it's Roxy Murdoch-Masila, who hasn't had much of a rest.
No, absolutely not. But again, she's a starter, and you know, the New Zealand players should be a welcome return for New Zealand. So if they're going to play direct, well, she's a powerful runner as well. So like I said before, I think when they find out how they want to attack this game, then they'll be better for it.
Clark's also powerful, and she carries the ball out of her own 40 as the Gillaroos defend there through Brigginshaw. Now along the line. McGregor feeds the ball towards the right-hand side, and Bartlett there is bobbing and weaving in amongst the Gillaroos defenders. Here comes Hale again. Hale has been very, very busy. He hasn't always come off for the New Zealand number 13, but she's certainly not shied away from the ball at all. As now McGregor will pass the ball towards Hilmoana, who is tackled by the Gillaroos just outside the 20. A kick forward now from McGregor, hangs high. Australia though defend comfortably, and the Ferns are unable to get towards this Australian back three. It's been carried forward with some speed there by Bremner, who is tackled just short of the 30.
Yeah, she's been fantastic, hasn't she, Bremner? She really brings the ball back with interest as she flies into that New Zealand line, gets the Aussies a great start to the set, and then the set just seems to continue that in that form, really, where they're just getting rolled, the New Zealanders, and it's a little bit too quick. I think on the flip side, I think we saw there New Zealand, the first play they got, right to left shift off a really slow ruck, and well, the Aussies line speed defensively as they break here.
Yeah, over on the far side, the Gillaroos carrying the ball forward. Is the support? Yes, there is. Is there a try coming? There certainly will be, and it will be Taryn Aiken who scores for Australia. Time to bring the ball back in closer to the uprights as well. Gillaroos ruthless in this game and just breaching the right edge of the New Zealand defence. I mentioned a big carry previously, actually come from Amber Hall, who just come on to replace Hill Moana. Two big forwards for the New Zealand side. The carry was good, the defence not able to get back into the line. New Zealand outnumbered there by the Gillaroos, and Taryn Aiken scores her 5th try in this Rugby League World Cup tournament.
Yeah, for me that came from the New Zealanders not being too dominant there. When we talked about getting the other team on the back foot, that's what they've done there to get that space in, and then it's just sheer pace. But look at the options she had. She had 4 or 5 options to pass to. The push around the ball, and her options there for the Aussies is amazing. She had great pace, two-handed carry, just pulled in 2 and 3 defenders from the Ferns, and then had four runners there to pass the ball to. Absolutely brilliant. But the pace of the game at the moment from the Aussies would be hard for any team to defend.
Indeed, and an opportunity for the advantage to be extended here by Australia. 36-0 the scoreboard reads at the moment, and now it's 38-0. And Lauren Brown has kicked all 4 of her conversion attempts, and 1 or 2 of the Kiwi Ferns, someone needs to get Belinda Sharp a lozenge, 1 or 2 of the Kiwi Ferns, particularly the forwards, starting to look extremely tired at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to find a reset button, haven't they? Because there's a long time left. There's 22 minutes left in this game, and it's already got ugly. So I guess the old saying, "Playing for pride," is going to come into it here. And yeah, press the reset, get your plan together, and just stick on the same page there. Because defensively, they had the numbers 3v3. It was just a great pass from Australia, but New Zealand offered them that opportunity by just making rash decisions, and they're not connected defensively, New Zealand, at times, and just they've got to crank up the volume and dig in here.
Clark restarted. Brown took the first carry for the Gillaroos, and now it's Bent reversing her way out of the 30, and the defending done by Rorter. Now Australia trying to poke a hole through Emma Tonagata, who I would say has been very good since her introduction in this second half. Brown claps her hands, coaxes the ball. Now it's along the line towards the very experienced Briganshaw. She will carry that ball up towards the New Zealand 20 and takes the tackle as well. Now it's in the hands of Taufa. She's upended 20 metres out in front of the goalpost. Defender is Hale, and this will be the last. Kick coming maybe from Australia. No, they continue to run the ball out towards the far side, and New Zealand could be breached again. No, in the end, a little intercept there, and New Zealand live to fight another day, and it was Racine McGregor who was able to get on the end of the pass which was coming in from Ivania Palita over on that far side.
I think here as well we've got to give New Zealand credit a little bit here, because if you take it from a different angle, how good are Australia with the ball? You know what I mean? They've got options either side, the pace in which they're attacking, the confidence to just get that pass in and offload. The New Zealanders are really being challenged here defensively, and in attack I would say that again the Aussies are giving them nothing. There's no space, the markers are working and they're dominant and the physical, so again it puts a lot of pressure on them in attack to be able to play.
Getting stuck into Brianna Clark every time she carries the ball. 2 or 3 Australian defenders are flying in. 38-0 on the last. New Zealand still deep in their own 30. McGregor will kick that ball forward again. It's very much a kick off the back foot and very much a defensive kick in many ways. Bremner is able to collect that all the time in the world to bring it back towards the New Zealand half, where Australia will begin their latest sortie, and it's carried forward by Sergis, one of 2 Aussies on for a hat-trick in a World Cup final at the moment. Long way to go yet, mind you. Now it's Kelly, who happens to be the other, carrying the ball up towards the 30 in centre field. Here comes Torfa. Torfa will be tackled 20 out, and Murdoch Masilla is instructed to get into marker. Aiken along the line. Opportunity maybe for Brown to breach the 10. She can't, she's tackled over on that far side. New Zealand again looking tired. Outside ball, Australia can't muscle over, and there's just a melee of bodies. And I think this will again be sent up to the video referee just for a little check. Let's have a listen to.
We've got no try. Just confirming loose carry over the line. Just make sure it's not stripped.
So we'll listen to Adam G and see what he thinks of what's gone on there. Didn't look like a try at all.
Video ref to
where
director.
We're sat.
We've got an on-field decision of no try. I just need to see the Australian player coming into contact, looking at potential knock-on or strip.
Well, the ball comes flying out of the arms there of Polite, and Meli Hafanga was the defender, or certainly one of them. Amber Hall also over on that far side.
Have you got a camera angle just from down the line, so I can see the ball the whole time, please?
More looking at how to restart this than any danger of there being an Australian try.
Okay, the Australian player is just looking to spin out of the tackle. The New Zealand players are just trying to effect a tackle. It's a knock-on by the Australian player. Thank you, I've viewed all available angles and made my decision.
Knock on Australia. Let's take a quick check on the Formula One with Jack Nicholls.
We've got 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Sergio Perez is quickest at the moment. Lewis Hamilton is second. Max Verstappen is third. But Sam Bird, it looks like really it's going to be a fight between the Red Bulls for pole position.
It does absolutely look like a fight between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen. They are clear of the field. Lewis Hamilton hanging on there at the moment in second place. The Mercedes looks great in the final sector of the lap, but Red Bull, I think, have got this one covered.
So 3 minutes to go in this second part of qualifying. Full coverage on Sports Extra.
Well, the Kiwis unable to go through the gears. Here at Old Trafford, they trail by 38 points to 0 and are struggling at the moment again to get out of their own half. That's a better carry from Murdoch Masilla. Funny looking play the ball though. This time though, no, it's actually going to be Torfa who is penalised from a Gillaroos point of view. Just hanging on a little bit there as New Zealand got up to play the ball, and some welcome relief again.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a tough call there actually against Australia, but however it is an opportunity for New Zealand hopefully pull some points in this game and come away with something. So every time they try and shift, you've got the 2 pivots for Australia, Aiken and Brigginshaw, just really leading line speed and shutting everything down. They've been so clinical defensively and in attack, as Aiken had a particularly good 5-10 minutes.
Crystal Stowers has come on for the Ferns, and she's been involved there with a carry up towards the Gillaroos. 30 taken forward by Maynard. Quick play the ball again, and now it's an opportunity for McGregor to put on some footwork, but the Gillaroos not fooled by that. Defending done by Torfa inside the 20. New Zealand would love to register a score here. Little offload, McGregor, ball goes to Rorter, she delays, she passes, here it comes, here's the try, and New Zealand are in the corner. Madison Bartlett registers the first points of this Rugby League World Cup final for the Ferns, and they celebrate there in front of the Stretford end, filling up with neutrals ahead of Australia against Samoa in the men's final, and they enjoyed that. The Ferns deserved that, and the scoreboard reads 38-4.
Yeah, well, it was McGregor who provided the final pass, and you might not win this game, New Zealand, but I'll tell you what, they've got the loudest cheer of the afternoon, so the whole fans here at the Old Trafford Stadium were on their feet and really encouraging New Zealand there. So again, it's come from that strong carry. They won a penalty, get the restart, and well, they've taken advantage of it, haven't they? They've come back against the grain, in and around the middle, what they should have been doing, strong carries, and then they've really had a little bit of patience and really good execution there to squeeze in at the corner. So yeah, I'm glad New Zealand just finally get something on the board for their efforts this afternoon.
For me, they've just gone back to what I spoke about earlier in the first half, that if they can be a little bit more dominant, just playing with your head up, isn't it, and just recognising how the marker's there, is the space around the ruck, and just getting a quick play of the ball and attacking there, and just getting a repeat set going again. And they got the Aussies there on the back foot, and then that allowed them to suck in some defenders and get the space out wide. So just great to see, and as Paul said there, great cheer from the crowd to see them go on for a try.
Racine McGregor's kick is not the best kick she's ever attempted, unfortunately, so it remains 38-4 here on BBC 5 Live and BBC World Service live from Old Trafford for a double header of Rugby League this afternoon, the Rugby League World Cup final. Australia against Samoa to come in the men's final. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff, this game here, as we head into the final 15 minutes. It's Australia who will be crowned champions. It's just a case of by how many. 38-4 at the moment. And the Gillaroos will restart us again. The ball hangs high. It's collected on this occasion by Roach, and Roach will feed that ball towards Rota, and Rota is jostled backwards by Tonagato for the Gillaroos, aided and abetted by Simi Taufa, and now the most recently introduced player to proceedings, Crystal Stowers, will take a carry for New Zealand. The Ferns are still, oh, that's a bad error there, bad error, and Brown is able to jump on a loose ball over on the far side there. McGregor, I think it was, who was unable to go with the ball perhaps. Anyway, it's Australia who have it, and there's also a New Zealand player down in need of some treatment. That's Racine McGregor, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened. I think she's got a leg twisted. Looks really discomfort there. She looks to be in some pain. But one of the differences, you look at Australia's kick-off there from Brown. What range she got. The appetite to defend from Australia. They've conceded a try, obviously. They've won this game. It's 38-4 as it stands, but you can tell the chap behind the sticks is that Brown's gone real deep with the kicks, got wonderful range. And the Aussies, well, their appetite to defend, as I said, they've got up there, they've forced an error, and obviously now they're back in possession of the ball. So, yeah, professionalism, consistency, discipline, all those adjectives that describe winning sides, well, they've got that in abundance, and, it looks like more of the same as they get the ball with a full set of six, and hopefully it is Racine McGregor who gets up, and hopefully she's all right from this injury here. I'm not quite sure what it is she's hurt as she took a heavy fall.
I agree with Paul there. I think, that's what makes great teams, doesn't it? You can have good teams, but you can have great teams, and the Aussies will have been behind the sticks there, and you can see just the way they went from kick-off there just to defend, and for me, that's what's making the difference between these two at the moment. The New Zealanders got a try and just came in there a little bit. You've got to be more dominant. They've got to come out of yardage, and they just put all the pressure on them again. And at the moment, you can see they just pride themselves, these Aussies, on being class. And it's the scoreline at the moment.
Well, Amber Hall is currently knelt down next to Racine McGregor. Head is being held up by Crystal Stowers, and Appy Nichols is going to come back on to replace Murdoch Masilla. So that's a free interchange for the Kiwis. That's that head test that Nichols had to go off and take. And at the moment, there's no sign of a stretcher being brought onto the Old Trafford pitch, so that's a promising move. But you saw immediately that Vania Polite pulled out of playing the ball because she knew that there was a bit of bother for Racine McGregor.
It looks like a wrist injury on initial replay evidence there. It just looked like she was holding her wrist, and so hopefully it's not too serious. It just went back there on another visual, and she looked to be moving it, so hopefully it's just a sprain or knocked back, nothing too serious.
Let's get the end of qualifying 2 in the Formula 1 with Jack Nicholls.
Fernando Alonso has been eliminated along with Yuki Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, Lance Stroll and Zhou Guanyu, and now it is going to be the battle for pole position. It looks like it's going to be a Red Bull head-to-head. Sergio Perez quickest in that second part of qualifying, so he is looking very, very likely to be taking the fight to his teammate Max Verstappen for pole position. Full coverage on Sports Extra.
Cherrington takes the ball to the 10. Taufer with another carry. Again, the Gillaroos looking dangerous as Brown is in at dummy half. Here comes Cherrington again over the line. Held up or not? Well, the Gillaroos celebrate. Plenty of Kiwi ferns on the scene. Try on the field from Belinda Sharp. Let's see what the video referee Adam G has to say about this one.
Video ref to match director. We've got a live decision of try on tackle 3. Can I please see your best angles on grounding? Go nice and slow, please.
Just checking the different angles. We'll get the thoughts of Amanda Wilkinson, the Barrow Raiders ladies head coach, and Paul Rowley, who coaches Salford Red Devils men, in just a moment. I think this is a try. I don't think Adam G are going to have to look too much for this. It's great from Kennedy Cherrington.
Can I just get a front? Yeah, this will be the best one, I think. Just make sure she maintains possession. So hands are still around it, arms are still around it, ball on the ground. Yeah, that's fine. I've seen all angles and made my decision. Thank you.
It's going to be 42-4 very, very soon indeed, Amanda.
Yeah, great there. You know, you had your stop in play there, and sometimes you can get a bit of complacency when you get a break in play, but they didn't. They regathered, they got organised, and the pace at the line there, you know, when you see that line, she was going over and she was scoring that try. Great grip on the ball, good strength, and so much determination to make sure she scored it.
I think certainly Cherrington, I think she's been outstanding for Australia today. She's got real good leg speed, real fast, and you know, she's come into this game patched up there. They've clearly got some sort of injury to her underneath her left eye, so she's come in patched up. I watched her in the in the anthems there. She's smiling away. She's absolutely loving this. She's laughing, smiling, pointing at the camera, and enjoying every minute of it. But wow, she's been ferocious and tough throughout, I think, from minute 1 to now. And if you're going to, go looking at players of the match as well, she's right up there for me in Cherrington, and much deserved try for her.
Lauren Brown makes it 5 from 5, takes her personal points tally to 10, and now she sits just 2 points behind England's Tara Jane Stanley as the leading point scorer in this competition, and it's all the fours here at Old Trafford. 44 points to 4. The Gillaroos lead the Ferns with 12.5 minutes to go. And another New Zealand interchange. Hilmoana is coming back on for New Zealand, and well, they will want to, I guess 50 is a key number here, is it? Will one team be desperate to score it and the other side be desperate not to concede it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Australia just want to keep motoring on, don't they? I don't think they've got a target in mind. They just want to keep remaining dominant, enjoying the rugby. And well, New Zealand, obviously we said it before, playing for pride, and they want to prove things to themselves, that they can fracture this Australia defence, they can hold on, and they can get in the arm wrestle for long periods of time.
Simi Taufer's had a carry. Emma Tonagato does now, as again the Gillaroos bring the ball upfield with Davis busying herself at dummy half yet again. Looks to the right hand side, and Tonagato will play the ball along the line, and it manages to work its way towards the right edge via the experienced arms of Ali Briginshaw. And the ball carrier, who was tackled there by the Kiwis, was Shannon Marto. As now on the last, a little kick, a little chip A little chance for a charge here. It's a great piece of play. Great piece of play. And Australia will be in. It's Cherrington again. Isabel Kelly was able to run onto the kick, which came from Taryn Aiken, and in the end, unselfishly, puts Cherrington away. And goodness me, what a wonderful 2 or 3 minutes she's just had.
Yeah, two teams in two completely different places at this moment in the game. And for me, the Australians, I think they just pride themselves on playing and performance for me. I don't think they'll be looking at the score, they'll be just saying, look, we just got to keep doing what we do best. Do the little things right, keep working hard in defence, and just make sure that we keep playing rugby. And that's what they're doing, that try. You know, again, I keep talking about it, but the movement off the ball, the kick was absolutely class, but the options and the people pushing around play, you know, the defence, you know, you don't know what you're defending, and the Aussies have got just such good skill as well.
Yeah, I think Taryn Aiken in particular, she's been the orchestrator of a lot of Australia's best work in this second half, whether it be a cutout ball, on that occasion it's a chip kick. And it's Kelly who's obviously caught the kick and provided the last pass there under the post. But yeah, one might say this is cruel for New Zealand, but another way of describing it's absolutely ruthless from Australia. They've really dismantled New Zealand from start to finish. And yeah, it's back to the wall time for the Kiwis now for this last 10 minutes. But fantastic try, and you've got to say probably one of the tries of the tournament as the kick goes over again. And more punishment for New Zealand.
Yeah, Brigginshaw is back on kicking duties, makes no mistake from whap slap bang in front, and it's 50 points to 4. So the Gillaroos bring up the half century at Old Trafford in this Rugby League Women's World Cup final. We've got just over 9 minutes to play in this game. Damage limitation for New Zealand, and Australia just enjoying themselves as they have earned the right to throughout this tournament. Taufa is tackled on the 30. New Zealand still battling away to no avail in the main, however, as Australia will continue to relentlessly carry that ball up. That's Hilmoana who does the defending there, and back out towards that left-hand side. The ball goes via Aiken for Australia. In at dummy half is Davis again. And goodness me, the intensity from Australia hasn't dropped. Cherrington becomes the third Gillaroo, by the way, who's on a hat-trick. Will anybody get one as Bremner looks to feed the ball out to this far side, and Robinson, who I've still got down for the try of the game, although that last one was pretty close, is tackled just outside the 20. Australia, bounce pass there from Brigginshaw, and Kiwi hand in, and a chance maybe here for the left edge of Australia to bag another one. The ball's come loose and in at the far side. Goodness me, it's not the prettiest of tries, but they all count the same, don't they? And it's Avania Polite who scores, the only member of the three-quarter line who hadn't registered a try. She's got 7 for the tournament now and goes level with Robinson at the top of the try scorers there. Sergis also has 7 as well, and it never rains, it only pours for New Zealand. 54-4 Australia.
Yeah, I've got to say, the last pass from Aitken looked slightly forward to me. I'll have another look at it, but I'm not sure if a Kiwi got a hand to it, and maybe that's what gave it play on. But nevertheless, yeah, the old bounce pass, isn't it? Everybody stops and the Aussies carry on. So it's a great try there. There's no, she has no right to squeeze in and beat 3, 4, 5 women there to get into the left corner. But yeah, like you say, all the back line getting over for tries. Sammy Bremner will be thinking, what does she need to do? Because I'd have put my pound on her scoring throughout this game with the way she started and gone throughout this game. She's got so much pace.
I think I've maybe done Polite a bit of a disservice there. When I said it's not the prettiest try, there was 2 bounce passes in the build-up, and I'll stand by the fact the Kiwi defence isn't great, but it did take some finishing. Got to credit the winger for that, haven't I, really?
Yeah, definitely. You know, when you look at, she had 2 and 3 defenders on, and she beat them off by smart play. You know, change of carry can go unnoticed sometimes, but for her, she had sheer strength. She managed to stay out of touch. She managed to change carry to be able to fend off the defenders. So no, I'd say, you know, really good finish by the winger there.
Brigginshaw unable to add the extra. She's kicked 2 of 5 conversions, and the Gillaroos lead 54-4 on BBC 5 Live and BBC World Service with 6 minutes of this World Cup final to go. And Appy Nichols will place the ball on the kicking tee to get things back underway. And Australia will look to pour on the pressure. Taufa will bring this ball forward, and she is tackled about 25 metres in front of her own uprights. Amber Hall and Crystal Rorter, the defenders there for New Zealand. Now it's taken forward by Tonagato for the Gillaroos, and Davis waits again at dummy half. Australia are still in their half, 5 metres shy of halfway. Stowers with the tackle around the legs of Davis there. And Cherrington will tuck the ball under her left arm, runs towards Rorter, and the other defender is Poulet for New Zealand. Now Australia stretch the Kiwis again as they head towards the right edge, and every time Brigginshaw has the ball, time seems to stop for Australia. She's got all the time in the world. Sergius is tackled. This is the last. And what will Australia try and conjure up here? Well, they'll switch play over towards the left edge, and once again that New Zealand right edge is being run ragged by Isabel Kelly. Wonderful hands in there from Taryn Aiken and Emma Tonagato too, but the New Zealanders hold out.
Yeah, Aiken, just the passing, the timing of her passing and the quality of it, just to be able to create something from nothing really there. Absolute class from those players, Bremner and Buckinshaw, is it? Just absolutely brilliant.
Brigginshaw, but we'll give you the benefit. There's been a lot of tries and points scored. Goodness me, as I sometimes run out of paper. I've nearly run out of ink in this game, as Australia will defend this time, but deep inside the New Zealand half, and that's Poulet who is tackled. Now it's taken forward by Stowers. Stowers is upended by Taufa for Australia. Now Rorter will go to the right of the ruck, manages to gain 8 metres maybe, and then the Gillaroos defence pile in. On the last, it will be a kick from McGregor, who hoists that ball high. Bremner collects and brings the ball back, and this time will dump the ball off, and Gillaroos are able to start their set pretty much as the ball is played by Julia Robinson on the halfway line, and they're hunting more points in the final 4 minutes of this Rugby League World Cup final. 54-4 is Australia's lead. It's BBC 5 Live and BBC World Service on this Saturday afternoon here in Old Trafford, Manchester. Gillaroos are 30 out and in centre field, and Aiken will get the ball and pass it along the line, and now the fullback Bremner has come in. She would dearly love a try, Sammy Bremner. She's tackled 20 metres out. The defender on that occasion is Paige McGregor. On the fourth tackle now, Taufa will find a front, 15 metres from the Kiwi line. This is the last. Here is Davis. Davis looks to centre field, finds Aiken. Aiken along the line to Tonagato, and well, somehow Melly Hafanga comes away with the ball. I'm not really sure, but she was the ball hawk there, and the New Zealanders have it.
Yeah, well, that last play's proven a really dangerous time for New Zealand. The Aussies have got a kick option, which they've been particularly good at throughout the game, and the run option as well. But on that occasion, obviously New Zealand do a great job of securing the ball, and in an attempt to squeeze the ball out, obviously it's popped into New Zealand hands. So fair credit to New Zealand. It's fantastic. It would be easy to put the cue on the rack, but there's too much pride in the jersey here for them to do that. And yeah, they go again, and they're churning some metres up now, so hopefully they can finish with a flourish.
Kezzy Apps is back on for the Gillaroos, and I think Ali Brigginshaw has just been handed the player of the match accolade by the pitch announcer there. I'm pretty sure that's what was just said, as Clark is also back on for New Zealand for these final minute and a half of this game. Kick forward there under duress from Racine McGregor, and Bremner collects and brings the ball back towards the 20. Who's your sort of player of the match Paul first.
Yeah, I think, well, I called it in the first half, didn't I, with Brigginshaw, but I think the game was won in the first half, and Brigginshaw was instrumental. I think she's been overshadowed by a couple of girls this second half. Certainly Taryn Aiken's been fantastic. Bremner's been in and about, and yeah, you know, as the back row who scored the try, Cherrington, there's the one who's been absolutely tireless. She's been a warrior for Australia. But yeah, like I said, the game was won at half time, and Brigginshaw has been instrumental in everything that's been good about Australia today.
Amanda's opinion on that question in just a moment, as the Gillaroos are 35 out, and this is the last. 54-4, and we're in the final minute here. Australia are about to be crowned world champions again. Kick forward, oh, the ball's bobbled, bounced, and in the end it's Hafanga who's able to get on the end of the Aiken kick, and not any of the left edge of the Australian side, as the clock starts to count down to the final few seconds of this game. 5 to go, and the Gillaroos will celebrate en masse in just a moment as the hooter sounds. The tackle is complete, and the victory is complete. Quick word from you, Amanda Wilkinson.
Absolutely brilliant performance there from the Gillaroos. Well-earned win. For me, just outclassed the Ferns. I think the Ferns just needed to find themselves in that first half, and as Paul said, for me, you know, the game was won in the first half through just tactically. Brigginshaw was absolutely class, and the pace of the game from the Aussies, how they linked together the halves, through Bremner was good. I just thought, for me, they were a class above the Ferns today. You know, they gave it everything. They didn't give up. I think probably that last set from yardage was probably one of the best ones from the Ferns. But for me, the Aussies were a different pace, weren't they? And had such class throughout.
More from Amanda and Paul to come, but here we have watched a dominant Gillaroos do a number on a valiant New Zealand Ferns. 20-0 at half-time, 54-4 at full-time. Tries across the board. Robinson with the pick for me. Sergis, Kelly scoring 2 apiece. Also Polite, Aiken with a try as well. Cherrington bagged 2. Tonagato scored as well in consolation. Madison Bartlett scored the sole 4 points for the New Zealand Ferns, but it's been a very, very convincing performance here in game 1 of a World Cup final doubleheader at Old Trafford this afternoon, where it's finished in the Women's Rugby League World Cup final. Australia 54, New Zealand 4.